Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to start with a quick thank you for the great responses that we've had from you all to the premiere episode of Frontier. It really does mean a lot, and we hope you'll all stick with us for the duration of the story. We're having so much fun playing Star Trek Adventures, and it's made all the better for having you lot along for the ride with us. Thanks so much. No other real announcements to share right now with you guys, so let's recap what happened last time. We met the crew of the USS Tenzing as they returned to Earth at the end of a year-long voyage in the Beta Quadrant. Long overdue a refit, the visit promised to be a time of both relaxation for the crew as well as changes, with the retirement of the ship's chief medical officer and the transfer of its chief of security, Lieutenant Murphy promoted at last to Lieutenant Commander to fill that particular vacancy. The ship was not docked long, however, before an urgent alert message was received from Starfleet Command that Borg ships had been detected on a course for Earth. All nearby starships scrambled to form a defense fleet, the Tenzing among them, and intercepted a massive Borg sphere as it exited from a transwarp conduit. Things seemed dire, but help came from an unexpected place as the USS Voyager also emerged from the conduit, destroying the sphere with unknown weaponry and returning at last from the Delta Quadrant after 7 long years. That's where we left off, so without any further ado, let's get into today's episode of Frontier. Captain's Log, Stardate 55014.7. It has been 2 weeks since the dramatic events of the USS Voyager's return from the Delta Quadrant, as well as our own return to Earth from less far-flung stars. With all of the whirlwind of celebrations and receptions thrown for them, I was only able to briefly speak with Captain Janeway, but from our short talk, it seems like they went through one hell of a journey to get back here. I'm sure the reports will make for some fascinating reading, once the crew has been fully rested and debriefed, of course. As for my crew, they've been enjoying their own rest, while the Tenzing undergoes upgrades and refits here in Space Dock. Preparations are nearly complete for what promises to be a fascinating voyage. In fact, I'm told by Commander T'Lyn that the last of our new arrivals and crew transfers are to be expected today, including our new Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ireela. The work on the ship will soon be complete though, and I look forward to finally heading back out there, into the unknown. Alright, so it has been 2 weeks since the Tenzing and the Voyagers returns to Earth, and you have all been on shore leave for those 2 weeks. Tell me, how did each of you spend your time off?
Lyra has went and visited her grandparents and spent some time with them on their ranch. She's been on there, enjoying spending time with them, and is celebrating her promotion with them. And eager to get back at it.
Awesome. Johnny, what's Johnny been doing?
After demodulating all those phases,
They needed to be set back to their regular settings.
Yeah.
I can hear the resentment in your voice.
Well, I thought of it for myself, in fairness.
I'll have made you appreciate your time away even more.
Exactly. He's gone and visited famous landmarks, done a kind of tour of duty almost, of looking at
full tourist experience.
The history of Starfleet and kind of like the path towards the Galactic Federation, and just sort of visiting all the places. But for a little bit of entertainment and for his own training, he took a trip to Brazil and got his ass thoroughly handed to him a few times, but learned a few things in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that he didn't already know.
Okay.
And that's how he spent his time.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do any rolls for that. I think it's just fun if he got beaten up a
In
bit.
2 weeks.
Well, he could spend 1 week. I mean, we're looking at a situation where transporters and travel are
This
really
is very
quite
true.
quick. So, like, getting between locations, going to Brazil is like, it's not the same as right now where it's whatever.
Yeah.
Do that in an afternoon, just travel between
Yeah,
locations
you
like
can
that.
just,
Yeah.
transport over. Okay. So yeah, you've not really relaxed then. You've just kind of taken the opportunity to... You've gone for a
Relaxed in Johnny style.
yeah, Johnny style, which is to go and like go and expand your security training, essentially.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, Ray, you put together your Andes expedition.
I certainly did.
Again, I'm not going to make you roll for shore leave stuff, but because I feel that would be really harsh if you got you got
If I
seriously
died
injured
again.
on shore
Again.
leave.
Yeah, no. So Sabin has taken the bulk of his shore leave. He's met with some friends that are living on Earth, and he's gone to Colombia, and he's hiked up the Nevado del Ireela, which is now in the time of this story an extinct volcano in the Andes, and this is actually the same one that he died on previously in another life.
Is that mixed emotions? An ambivalent trip, or was it a triumphant? I did it this time.
It's a kind of I did it this time. The mistake that Ray made the previous time was that he didn't take any anti-grav boots to help with the ascent. He miscalculated a ledge grab, slipped, fell about 35 feet, and shattered several key bones in the body that he was inhabiting.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But no, he spends about a week and a half making the journey up and then back down, and then returns to the San Francisco area near Starfleet headquarters and just spends the rest of his time relaxing, feeling that he's actually accomplished something that he failed to do at the start of his existence, and is now looking towards newer and other things. He can now put that behind him. He's done it, and he's conquered it.
All right. Interesting choices all around then, I think. So while you've all been off enjoying some much-needed relaxation, however each of you define that, I guess, the ship itself has been undergoing a variety of upgrades to its systems. The Nebula class isn't really new anymore, and many changes have been made to bring the Tenzing up to sort of more modern specifications. I won't go through everything right now, but some of the highlights include a major upgrade to the ship's sensor suite, the installation of an emergency medical hologram system, and several new Type 9 shuttlecraft to replace some of the aging, outdated shuttle pods that have basically been with the Tenzing since its commission. As I said, I won't go through everything now, but suffice to say, with all the upgrades and stuff, the ship feels almost new again. So, Dr. Ireela, you are aboard one of the USS Korolev's shuttlecraft, which has just dropped out of warp and is inbound to Starbase 1 and your new posting aboard the USS Tenzing for the first time. Your new position of Chief Medical Officer was kind of a big step up for you, having previously served aboard the Korolev, itself a much smaller ship than the Tenzing, as a junior doctor for the past few years. What are you thinking? What are you feeling as you begin your approach to the Tenzing?
Traveling to the ship, Anirin Ireela is feeling quite nervous. They would be feeling a lot more excited if, there hadn't just been a ship randomly near Earth not so long before. But it's okay. She can do this. Dealing with people is her speciality, after all.
Yeah. So, I guess you sat up front in the shuttle then?
Yeah.
Right. So, as the shuttle's pilot guides your vessel towards the cluster of dry dock enclosures that form part of the Starbase 1 complex, you are treated to a fantastic view of the ship, which will be your new home for the foreseeable future. From your pilot, your empathic senses detect a slight feeling of awe as he brings the shuttle in on a wide loop around the Tenzing, affording you a rare, complete view of the outside of a ship, something not always sort of afforded where the convenience of transporters means that more often than not, crew simply sort of step from one room to another when leaving their ships. Now that you're closer up, the huge scale of the Tenzing is much clearer to you, as you can make out viewports ringing the ship's wide saucer section and catch a fleeting glimpse of movement within. Occasionally, bright flashes of sparks on the ship's exterior show where some last-minute engineering work is clearly still taking place, and the pilot at last brings your shuttle in on final approach to the cavernous main shuttle bay on the rear of the Tenzing saucer section, flying in under the building-sized sensor pylon which rises from the rear of the ship's superstructure. You feel a slight rumble as the shuttle passes through the hangar's magnetic atmosphere shield into the interior of the bay itself, suddenly surrounded by air instead of vacuum, and slowing to a smooth halt, the pilot sets down on the hangar deck. Alright, here we are. Good luck in your new posting, Doctor. We'll all be missing you on the Korolev.
Thank you. And smiles at him.
He smiles back and goes to doing sort of post-flight checks on the board as the rear door of the shuttle sort of hinges downwards. The whole back basically opens on these things. So as you step out of the shuttlecraft, you can see waiting for you with the customary neutral expression on her face that you've come to expect from Vulcans is an officer with the rank pips of a commander on her collar. She is holding a datapad and looking to you expectantly.
Ireela walks towards the Vulcan and holds out her hand in greeting. Hello, I'm Commander Ireela.
The Vulcan, she sort of regards it for, it's only a fraction of a second, you wouldn't pick it up normally, but you Vulcans are a little stiff when it comes to especially certain expressions of greeting and things, but she does shake your hand, says, "Welcome aboard, Commander. I am Commander Talin, First Officer of the USS Tenzing."
Thank you, Commander.
She waves over a couple of the ship's crew who step aboard the shuttlecraft to offload your personal belongings and any gear which you might have brought with you from the Korolev. Crewman Idir and Crewman Purdington will ensure that your effects are conveyed to where they need to be. I would be happy to escort you to your quarters in the meantime, Doctor, unless you would rather go straight to sickbay, that is.
I think sickbay would be fine for now. Thank you.
Very well. If you'll follow me. She gestures towards a nearby turbo lift, and as the two of you walk away from the shuttle, you note her officiously making a couple of quick notes on her datapad, although you can't really see what she's writing. Stepping aboard, the turbo lift doors close behind you, and the busy working area of the shuttle bay is left behind. Deck 12. The turbolift begins to move, and Commander Talin stands in silence for a few seconds, reading from her datapad. You don't really need your empathic senses to guess that she's probably not big on small talk, although she soon turns back to you. This will be your first time working on a ship of this size, I believe, Doctor.
Yes, that is correct, Commander.
How did you find your time on the USS Korolev? My own experience of that class of starship is limited.
I enjoyed my time there. There was a great working relationship between the medical staff. And Ireela kind of tries to suppress a grin slightly. Not really wanting to force lots of emotional expressions onto the clearly well-regulated Vulcan.
I am glad to hear it. Our medical staff here aboard the Tenzing enjoyed a comfortable working relationship with our previous Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Callis. I believe that such familiarity was beneficial to their work.
I look forward to meeting them.
She inclines her head in a sort of type of nod that you've seen many Vulcans kind of affect previously, that you've kind of come to know generally indicates sort of a meaning of kind of good, we've covered all the points I wish to make. Okay then.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
End of conversation.
The turbolift ride comes to an end, the doors open, and you find yourself in a wide corridor facing the main entrance to the ship's sick bay. Commander Tallinn wastes no time in leading you inside, and you find yourself in a wide, expansive room, the main ward, itself much larger than the entire sick bay aboard the Korolev, with multiple doors leading off of it into various specialised treatment rooms, isolation wards, surgical suites, and other offices. You knew coming here it was going to be a big facility, but now you're in the room, the size of it really kind of hits home for you. Glancing around, you can see that it's pretty quiet in here right now. The treatment beds are all empty as far as you can see, although there are still some medical staff in attendance who look around as you enter. Commander Tallinn gestures into the room slightly. I'm sure you will wish to get acquainted with the facilities, Doctor. I will leave you in the capable hands of your staff. I believe it would be prudent to check in with the captain at your convenience also.
Thank you, Commander. I'm sure I will see you around.
She nods and leaves you in the sick bay. The pair who were in the room when you entered come over. A human woman and a Saurian. The human extends a hand to you. Good morning, Doctor. Welcome to sick bay. I'm Lieutenant Haru. I'll be one of your junior doctors. Looking forward to working with you.
It's good to meet you, Lieutenant. And Ireela looks towards the second member of staff.
The second individual in front of you has the rank of ensign on their collar. It's a Saurian, which they're kind of like lizard people. They introduce themselves. Good day, Doctor. I am Nurse Tack. Looking forward to assisting in any capacity I can.
I look forward to working with you too, Ensign.
They kind of gesture around and say, well, as you can see, it's a bit of a quiet morning, but most of the crew is still making their way back from shore leave on Earth, so I'm sure we'll be back up to our usual level of small injuries and sniffles.
Yes, of course. So how busy do you tend to be in here?
Haru sort of half shrugs, but not really like a dismissive way, more of a sort of like a, well, you know, sort of shrug. Depending on the mission, the crew complement can be anything up to 800. I believe we're set to have around 750 on this next voyage. So we're usually seeing a few people every day. Run-of-the-mill things, accidents, mild infections and such. General practice work, you could say. Obviously, things can get a bit more frantic once the ship is underway and running into, well, whatever is out there. I like to think we're prepared for just about anything, though.
Excellent. If you wouldn't mind, I would like to head to my quarters just now, and I will see you both and other staff at the start of, I want to say like next shift something.
Yeah.
Would
it'd
that
probably
work?
be like tomorrow sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like in the morning. Yeah. I didn't really go into it. In my head I've been thinking that the ship has like a 3-shift kind of rotation sort of thing, so like 8 hours shifts. So
Yeah.
everybody's got 16 hours a day off, basically.
Yeah.
If we say this is the start of the morning shift, basically, you kind of arrive like an hour into the morning shift. So you're basically saying, I'm going to be on more, I'll be on the 8 a.m. start, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like quarters, I'm sure I will see you at the start of the day tomorrow, if not before.
They sort of nod, both of them kind of nod, smiling. Well, yes, looking forward to it, Doctor. You find yourself back in the corridor with no sign of the Vulcan commander, but not really any idea of where you're going either.
Ireela thinks to herself, this isn't completely ideal.
It's a bit of a different layout on the ship to your previous posting.
Maybe I should go see the captain just now.
Can do if you want, yeah.
It means she's not going to be running around trying to find someone to go, I don't
Where
know
do I live?
my quarters are meant to be.
Yeah.
So in the interests of looking even remotely competent at her new promotion.
You don't want to get lost on your first day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, so it's simple enough to find a turbo lift because you came in one, and yes, you would guess maybe the captain is on the bridge, but I mean it's a good starting point, really. Or at the very least, somebody on the bridge would be able to direct you to where you need to go.
Can the computer tell me?
Yeah, the computer can tell you, yes. You also have a communication badge as well, so you can just make direct calls.
Okay. Feels very awkward to make a direct call to the captain as your first meeting, but... Oh well, I'm sure it will be fine. Touches her comm badge. Commander Ireela to Captain Collins.
Collins here. Good to hear from you, Commander. I take it you're aboard the Tenzing now, then. I sent Commander to Lynn to meet you in the shuttle bay. I trust she was able to get you settled in properly.
Yes, sir. The commander very kindly showed me to sick bay. She also said that you would like to meet me?
Oh, yeah. Nothing to worry about. Nothing formal or anything. I just thought as your newest member of my senior staff, we ought to meet up before the ship gets underway.
Yes, of course.
I feel like as well, this wouldn't be the first time you're talking to him, but maybe you haven't met him in person, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You would have talked to him sort of as before travelling over here, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in my ready room at the moment, if now's a good time, or if not, perhaps later, in the officers' lounge, or maybe in 10 forward.
Ireela pauses for a second. I'll come meet you just now. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll see you shortly. Collins out. So, thankfully, it's very easy to find the bridge and the captain's ready room. They're both on deck 1 of the Tenzing. It's a short turbolift ride for you, and the doors open directly onto the bridge. Stepping out, you can see that currently sitting in the captain's chair is a female officer in yellow operations uniform. Looks to be Bajoran, and yeah. Murphy, this is you, and you hear the doors to the turbolift open.
I'm going to glance over and then realise that it's our new medical officer and stand. Dr. Ireela, I assume?
Yes, Lieutenant Commander. And
Murphy.
Murphy. It's a pleasure to meet you.
How was your journey here? Uneventful?
Very quiet.
Good. Who else is on the bridge?
It's still a little quiet. The ship's still in dry dock, so you're still kind of at like a skeleton bridge crew level. There's an ensign at the communications console, another one at the helm, although they're not really doing much other than sort of monitoring systems and whatnot. There's a 2-person engineering crew working in one corner. They've got a panel off the wall. They're messing with some stuff. You're pretty much just leaving them to it, though.
I'm afraid there's not really many of us around at the moment. How are you finding it?
Big. This is my first deployment on this size, this class ship.
You'll soon understand our quirks.
I'm sure I will. And Ireela looks round and smiles at each of the crew members that she can see. If you'll excuse me, I need to have a word with the captain.
So, yeah, the captain's ready room is just off the side of the bridge. Easily found.
I should probably press the bell rather than just walk in.
Okay, so you press the bell. Second later you hear, come in. The doors open, and stepping in, you can see the captain is in there. He's behind his desk, which has got a few data pads spread across it a bit sort of haphazardly. He's got what looks like a cup of coffee in his hand, which he puts down as he rises to greet you. Ah, Doctor, good to finally meet you. Welcome.
Good morning, Captain.
Glad you could finally join us here. We've been without a CMO since we put in at Earth. If you're half as good as Captain Hunter says you are, you'll be the perfect addition to the crew. I look forward to working together.
Thank you, Captain. The medical staff I've met so far certainly seem to be very competent.
Yes, Dr. Callis was always glowing in her evaluations of them, and I'm told they all worked well together as a team. I'm hoping we can keep that close-knit atmosphere going, moving forward. There's a brief chime from one of the data pads on his desk that he quickly glances at. Another engineering request. I better deal with this. Sorry to cut this short, Doctor. It's always a little busy at this point in a refit. You'll be happy to hear all the sickbay upgrades we completed last week, by the way. Hopefully you'll find them useful.
I'm sure I will. I will be starting work first thing tomorrow.
Glad to hear it. Well, take all the time you need to get settled in, though. We're not going anywhere just yet. Speaking of getting settled in, has anyone given you a proper tour of the ship yet?
No, not yet. I thought it best to check out the medical facilities and meet yourself first.
Well, that's very professional of you. Let me sort out someone to show you around. Wouldn't want you getting lost on your first day, would we?
No.
He walks to the door and opens it, leans out. Commander Murphy.
Sir.
I need someone to show the doctor around. Can you organize that for me?
Yeah. Yes, of course, sir. Of course.
Glad to hear it. I'll leave you in the commander's capable hands then, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Captain. Till next time.
I'll see you later.
Ireela smiles and steps back out into the bridge.
Murphy to Connard.
Sir.
Can you come up here to the bridge, please? I've got a task for you.
Aye, sir.
So yeah, Johnny, you're in your quarters there, which is a shared quarters between you and another ensign. You, for the last 2 weeks, have had the room to yourself. There's been a few staffing changes on board, other than Dr. Callis's retirement and the transfer of Lieutenant Commander Grant away. You haven't yet had word yet as to who you're going to be sharing your room with, but who knows? That might. Yeah.
He's got some trepidation. Obviously, there's thoughts of who it's going to be, but he's positive. He's ready to greet this person and try and make it right. Good first impressions and everything.
Yes. So that's where you're at basically when you receive this call from Murphy.
Okay. So am I prepared for work? Is this?
Yeah, I would imagine.
I'm on shift, but I'm in my room.
Maybe you've just finished. Like, it's not like you were getting ready to go to bed or anything. You've kind of, but maybe this isn't like a sort of, this isn't a security job really. This is just Murphy thinking, I need someone to do this. Johnny seems to like Starfleet stuff.
He'll be a good welcome wagon.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, it's cool. Okay, so right, he was just about to probably sit down and maybe do a little bit of meditating and just chill out after work. But he's being called to the bridge, so this is interesting. He's kind of hopping up and off he goes up to the bridge. So yeah, he'll leave the turbo lift and join them.
Okay, yeah, short turbo lift trip from your quarters on Deck 9 up to the bridge.
Lieutenant Commander Murphy, how can I help?
Connard, I'd like to introduce our new medical officer.
Oh, hello. And he reaches out a hand to shake.
Ireela takes his hand and shakes warmly.
He smiles and turns back to Murphy. He's like, oh, so how can I help with the doctor here?
I was wondering if you could help escort the doctor here around the ship. Give her a tour, so to speak. Help her find her way around.
Oh, sure. Yeah, why not? I was just finishing up for the day, and that's fine. Okay, Doctor. Well, I guess if you'd like to follow me, I'll show you around the ship.
Thank you, Connard. Doctor. And then Murphy's going to return to her duties.
Well, lead the way.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with the holodecks. That's one of my favourite places on the ship.
I was going to say, I'll leave it 100% to you where you take the doctor, because I feel like a Johnny-led tour might not be the same as a Ray-led tour, or
a Murphy tour.
Might be a slight insight into what Johnny considers might be the highlights of the ship, sort of thing.
Yeah. Let's see then. Okay, so we'll go into the turbo lift and head on down to the holodeck. In the turbo lift, Johnny is going to ask him, so have you been in Starfleet long? I guess you're a chief medical officer, so it must have been a while.
Newly promoted chief medical officer. But yes, I've had several deployments already.
Well, did you ever have any, outings during the Dominion War?
Yes, I did.
Oh, and Johnny kind of lights up a little bit. Did you see any action?
Well, medical staff are generally needed during a war.
Oh, and Johnny kind of blanches a little bit and realizes that he's asked this of somebody that's not necessarily going to see the glory of all of this, and pauses for thought, for sure, internally as well himself, and has a moment of realization that will probably pass quite quickly, and just kind of goes, Oh, of course. Sorry. And goes quiet.
Don't worry about it, Ensign. It's fine.
Oh,
Were you
thanks.
involved?
No, I kind of missed it just by a little bit. And I grew up around it, though. And I'm just kind of, I guess I'm interested. It's a really interesting part of history to me because the Bajorans, I grew up around them, and there's so much of their culture that was interesting, but ultimately Starfleet, we're the ones that came along and kind of saved the day, right?
Yes. And the Doctor's a little bit more circumspect about this than Johnny is.
Johnny doesn't read that at all and kind of smiles, thinking like, yeah, of course we are. And I guess turbo lift rides aren't that long, so it's probably time to get off the turbo lift.
Like, wow, this is a long turbo lift ride.
Maybe we got off and we're wandering down a corridor for part of that conversation.
I do like that Johnny's got that slightly skewed view, though, is very interesting to me. Not skewed like completely backwards, but like his thing of like, it's an interesting period in history when it's literally like 3 years ago, like it ended, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very fresh for everybody else, but because he just missed it, he's got a very odd view.
There's probably tribunals still going on about what's the special section called again?
Section 31.
Yeah.
Johnny's working with a bunch of people who were in it like not very long ago, and he's like, this is a historical event, sort of thing. Yeah. I don't know, it's just an interesting angle to me. Yeah.
Maybe he's not had too many conversations with people that have set him straight, and he's just he is that little bit ignorant. I think he doesn't read between the lines too much yet. At least he's got to mature.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll approach the holodeck, and Johnny says, "So here it is. This is the holodeck. So have you got much experience with holodecks? You can do pretty much whatever you like in here. Crazy."
Ireela just smiles at the young man's enthusiasm. I have used holodeck. There was only one on my previous ship, and medical officers don't always have as much free time.
Well, I guess I can understand, especially now that you're in your role. I guess your leisure time's going to be down to a minimum. Or at least, well, we've got to hope that we're not going to be seeing too much action. Well, not too much action.
Just don't get yourself landed in sickbay too often.
Well, I can't promise I'm not going to be coming in here after a rough session in the holodeck. I do get my arms and legs kind of pulled out of, like, socket now and again. It's quite rough practicing jiu-jitsu.
Ah, I should have known.
What do you mean? And Johnny's quizzical.
Merely that you seem exactly the kind of person to get minor injuries through additional training.
Well, I do like to work out, and Johnny kind of flexes a little bit in his uniform.
Oh, God.
Such a weird image. like why is he flexing?
He's completely read that wrong. He's like, oh yeah, minor injuries, of course, because I work out all the time. I take pride in that, and I will flex that.
Yeah, but the flex is the weird part to me.
So Johnny probably flexes perhaps a little too hard and winces because something's a little bit kind of pulled, like muscles just strained slightly, and he winces and pulls himself together and realizes that perhaps that was a bit stupid, and looks over at her and tries to gauge reaction to what that was.
Well, did you get away with it, sort of thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
With being just incredibly weird to the chief medical officer.
Yeah.
The commander tries to keep a straight face and keep, professional, cool demeanour, and then just laughs quietly. Okay? And other than the holodeck?
And Johnny's not crestfallen, but like looks a little bit flushed in the face and embarrassed by himself. Well, I guess there's 10 forward that you'd be interested in. Shall we go down to the bar?
Maybe at the end of the tour.
Oh yeah, sure. That's a good idea. Okay. Well, I could take you to security. That's where I work.
Lead the way.
Okie doke.
At
So
this point, Ireela is wondering whether there's any, like, rational route that this tour is taking. But suspects that the answer is probably no.
So far, the tour is, here's a place I like to hang out, and now let's go look at my office. Like...
But he is very young.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with it.
it's the fluster factor that's got me a little bit in mind, where he's sort of like, that moment there, I think, has got him in a way of like, okay, yeah, that was probably a weird thing for me to do, to bring you down to the holodeck, first of all, and explain that I train down here and get injured.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Okay, Johnny's going to take her through and do a guided tour, but the information that he provides about all the locations is very focused upon the security focus, and kind of like, here are the hard points, here are the locations that we would defend and attack from. It's not really kind of stuff that you're going to get use out of as the Doctor.
Yeah.
But he's very enthusiastic as he goes on about it.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. Okay. So you're hitting all the places you think you should hit. So you're hitting engineering, crew decks, things like that. But always with a sort of spin of this is main engineering. There's a door that comes down in the case of any kind of danger and that. And we have a few phaser rifles stored here.
Yeah, pointing out where she can find here's a refuge if there's a red alert and you've not got a weapon, that kind of stuff.
I think we could just say that was the general kind of...
Yeah, but I think that's the general vibe. I don't really have anything in particular, unless there's anything that you want to say, Dragon, that any reaction to this as he's going on, potentially.
I think Commander Ireela is just quietly amused. Not maliciously, just entertained by the enthusiasm.
Yeah, I think it's very clear straight away that this is the kind of tour you're being given, even if you're pretty sure this isn't what the captain wanted, or even what Murphy really had told him to do. But what you're getting is here's the security rundown of all these places. So you're kind of having to almost fill in your own gaps. You know what an engineering section is. You know what all the places he's taking you. You know their function in the ship. So it's more that you're getting a sort of tour of okay, these are on these decks, here's the way around, but with the added bonus DVD commentary on top of so if we were being attacked from this direction, I'd hide behind this table here, maybe flip this over, I'd hide behind this bulkhead right here because you get a good shot through the hole and things like that.
Exactly.
So you're getting an okay tour, you're just not all of the information that you're being given is maybe going to be 100% relevant to your work as a doctor.
Yeah, that sweet smile that's being given is completely as I say, Johnny can't read it. He can't see that there's any amount of not sarcasm, but kind of you're just going along with it because it's oh, poor boy, you don't know. And he doesn't.
I don't think it's as much. I think it's more, it's tinged with a little bit of, well, hopefully he'll keep some of that enthusiasm and nothing too horrendous will hit.
I like it.
Okay. So you end the tour as you said in with 10 forward. So you walk into the bustling. Even though still in space dock, it's always it's always quite busy in here. Really, it's a kind of quite wide sort of bar. Basically, there's a sort of central kind of bartendery sort of tended area. It's a bar. At the front of the ship. It's basically what it is. But yeah, it's a nice kind of nice atmosphere in here. People are chatting in corners. There's some light music playing in the background and that. There's mood lighting and stuff, and there's a nice view out of the front viewports of Earth.
Okay, so we walk in and Johnny says, okay, so here we are at the end of the tour. We're at 10 forward at last. Should we get a drink?
How busy is 10 forward at this point? Half full?
I could say it's a little. It's not rammed. There's maybe 20-30 people in here, sort of spread out. It's quite a large area, really. But yeah, I mean, it does. It feels like there's a few people in here, but it's not busy. If that makes sense.
Ireela glances round, taking a quick read of what the sort of volume of emotions are that she's hit with, having walked into a room with more people in it. Just kind of weighing up, safe to drink alcohol. It's early in the day, so hopefully there won't be loads of them getting completely drunk. Should be okay.
Yeah, I think by this point it's probably about midday.
Yeah. So Commander Ireela walks over to the bar.
You are greeted by a Betazoid barman who is currently cleaning a glass, which strikes you as a weird thing to be doing when there's replicators where you could just have the glass disintegrated and get a fresh one. But
it's very anachronistic.
Yeah, it's almost like, yeah, I like cleaning glasses sort of thing. You're getting a sort of contented sort of vibe as he's doing it off of him. As you approach, though, he kind of looks up at you as well. You would know that Betazoids are also empathic and telepathic, so yeah, sort of a meeting of the minds, kind of. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. It's sort of there's some crossover there. That yes, he says, good, hello. What'll it be?
What are you thinking, Doctor? It's your first day. I suppose we shouldn't go too hard. It's quite early, but we could always have some synthol.
Ireela orders a fairly simple mixed drink, not too strong.
Okay, he says, all right, okay, and replicates that, and he says, and for you, Ensign, anything?
Beer. Give me a beer.
Okay.
Synthol.
Get you that as well. Enjoy.
So he turns to Ireela and he raises his... Is it a pint or a bottle?
I guess like a pint glass.
He raises his pint of synthol beer and says, to new beginnings.
To new adventure.
Aha. And he kind of does a kind of like a hand raise, not quite clinking or anything, because these are not compatible drinks for that kind of thing. But he then takes a good swig of it and kind of looks around and says, shall we take one last look at Earth out the window before we leave?
And the commander glances over towards the window. How many deployments have you been on, Ensign?
Well, this is my first ship. This is the first... I mean, I'm an ensign.
We'll have a look at the Earth.
He smiles again, not noticing that there was any kind of reading of him taking place. And wanders over and says, it's beautiful, isn't it? I didn't grow up there, but it's just such an achievement, what we've managed to do, unifying the galaxy like we have.
And the commander is very quietly, biting her tongue.
Yeah, you very much, I mean, from what he's saying, you've been in Starfleet long enough to know that his view is maybe... He doesn't have a complete view of the way of the world, really, is what you're getting.
Yeah.
Very much still got the idealistic sort of like, oh no, we're I mean, not that, it'd be cynical to say that he's 100% wrong, but at the same time, he's definitely, yeah.
He's very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as he's looking out the window and looks very wistful.
He's not exactly smooth talking.
No, he doesn't look smooth about it, but I think he's got that kind of idealistic youth about him, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I want to time jump on a little bit, unless anybody has any other scenes they want to do kind of at this point.
Leon?
Nope.
No? Okay. So, it's later the same day. Johnny, you've gone back to your quarters. The doctor's gone on. I assume have you returned to your quarters as well? You would have found your way to them at this point.
Yes.
The sort of embarkation of new crew members and things has continued, and the stocking up of the ship for an ongoing future mission has continued. Engineering work is wrapping up. Really, you're kind of almost basically at the end of the refit at this point. Johnny, you've just kind of gotten back from from 10 forward when there is a chime at your door.
Hello, who is it?
It's I'm your new roommate, can you let me in?
Oh, sure. And he hops up and kind of meets him at the door. Door slides open and he's kind of face to face.
Yeah, so the door slides open and you realize you're you're kind of a little bit staring into open air, but not fully. It's not that much of a height difference. But in front of you is a Ferengi in freshly pressed Starfleet uniform with a kit bag slung over his shoulder. He immediately sticks out a hand towards you. Hi, I'm Ensign Bonge. I guess I'm your new roommate.
Johnny kind of steps back a tiny bit, kind of slightly shocked, but at the same time not completely, because it's just a Ferengi, and reaches out a hand and shakes it. Says, "Oh, hi, I'm Johnny Connor."
Good to meet you. Oh, wow, this is what a place, huh?
Oh, well, yeah, welcome aboard. Come on in. And he kind of steps out of the way and kind of welcomes him into the room, and it points towards the side of the room that is not occupied by any of his stuff and says, I guess that's your space over there.
Yeah, I feel like without leaning fully into the sitcom trope of cutting a line down the middle of the room, there's quite... Johnny strikes me as being quite together enough that his stuff hasn't spread to the other side of the room while it was empty.
Yeah, he knows that's a two-person room and he's prepared for this. So
yeah. So this Bonge goes over and he puts his kit bag on the bed and he sort of sits on it and goes, "Oh, this is really something. You know, this is my first Starship deployment. You been on here long?"
A little while now. I've been deployed for a little bit, but I'm still kind of coming up the ranks. I'm an ensign just like you. But so yeah, first time for you. Have you always wanted to be in Starfleet? It's unusual to see a Ferengi.
Well, no, not always. I mean, growing up, I wanted to be a market trader, but they just don't take anybody these days. But I always good with my hands. Started doing engineering work, and after the Grand Nagus' son got into Starfleet, that kind of opened the door for a few of us who couldn't get on Ferenginar. Here I am.
Oh, it's good to have you. I work in security myself, so I guess we won't be working alongside each other too much, but I guess if you're not too bad of a roommate, let's just try and get along.
Yeah, engineering, yeah, like I said. Well, so as long as you don't touch my teeth sharpener, then we'll be, I'm sure we'll be fine.
No, you're good. I don't think I'm going to need my teeth sharpened anytime soon.
Your loss.
And he kind of wanders back over to his bed and kind of lays down and reads his pad for a little bit.
Okay.
And kind of lets his roommate go about his way.
I was going to say, yeah, you just kind of glance over every once in a while, and he's unloading a few little trinkets and things. You're not 100% sure what they are, but they seem to be sort of personal items, and he seems to be kind of agonizing about, oh, no, not there. No, I'll put this one up. Yeah, that's it. He's kind of not decorating his space, but he's got his little knickknacks and he's putting them where he thinks is best.
Cool.
So, senior officers, everybody except for Johnny, a little later in the afternoon, about 1800 ship time, all of your comm badges pip, and each of you here. Commander Tallinn to senior staff, please report to main conference room for mission briefing as soon as possible. So that goes to Dr. Ireela, that goes to Lieutenant Commander Murphy, and Lieutenant Commander Ray.
Okay. Stop whatever I'm doing and make my way there.
I put down my pad and immediately head up to the conference room.
Mm-hmm.
Ireela has just finished unpacking, settling into her quarters, and quickly pauses to check exactly how to get to the conference room from here.
You can ask the computer.
I think she'll feel happier just bringing it up on the screen, checking on the map, and then setting off.
Fair enough. Okay. So would it be fair to say that maybe you get there last?
Yes.
Okay. So, as each of you arrive at the conference room, you are greeted by Commander Tallinn, who is seated near to, but not at the head of the table. Also in attendance is a slightly frazzled-looking human man, who you haven't met yet, Commander Ireela, but the others know to be Commander Carter, the ship's chief engineer, who smiles sort of warmly up at each of you as you enter. Safe to say, Murphy and Ray, he's got a bit of a reputation as sort of something of a bit of an oddball. But he's generally a pretty friendly guy. He's not often seen up here on the command deck so much. He likes to spend a lot of his time down in engineering. You've all just about found your seats when the captain enters. Ah, good. You're all here. Thanks for coming up at such short notice. I wasn't quite expecting our orders to come through just yet, but, well, you never can predict these things, and we need to get the ball rolling on this. Remaining standing, he crosses to the conference room's main display and presses a couple of keys on the control panel. A map of the Alpha Quadrant appears on the screen. For those who don't know, Starfleet has, for mapping purposes, divided the galaxy into 4 quadrants: Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and Delta, with Earth sitting on the border between the Alpha and Beta quadrants. By and large, the Beta Quadrant is home to the Klingons, the Romulans, and a good chunk of Federation space, while the Alpha Quadrant contains, well, along with the other part of the Federation, the Cardassians, the Ferengi, the Breen, and the Tholians, with many smaller but familiar civilizations scattered throughout both quadrants. The Gamma and Delta quadrants are generally considered to be too distant to play a large part in Federation affairs, with the notable exception of the wormhole to the Gamma quadrant and the Dominion to be found in the Bajor system in the Alpha quadrant, and of course USS Voyager's recent fraught 7-year journey through the Delta quadrant to get home. As I said though, the map that appears on the screen is of the Alpha quadrant. We've been given a destination, and it's an interesting one. The map begins to zoom in to a region of space to what could be described as northwest of Federation territory, if looking at a top-down map of the quadrant. Just outside Federation space, the zoom ends, with the display focused on a tight cluster of star systems, none of which seem to be named. Just visible on one side of the map is Deep Space 3. The captain gestures towards the star cluster shown on the map. What we're looking at here is an area of space known as the Bermuda Cluster. So named based on the old Earth legend of the Bermuda Triangle, a place where ships would go missing without a trace, and all kinds of strange phenomena were reported over the years. The name was coined by some early Starfleet captains after some disastrous mishaps during their attempts to probe the interior of the cluster. We now know why that happened. Travel into and out of the cluster using warp travel has been made, let's just say, almost suicidal by a series of unexplained subspace storms centered on the cluster itself. The Daystrom Institute estimate these storms have been going on for over 600 years, effectively cutting off the cluster's 347 star systems from the rest of the galaxy. Commander Carter sort of leans forward at this point. If you don't mind me asking, Captain, what's changed? Speaking for myself, I'm, not really happy with the prospect of any kind of suicide mission. Well, apparently for the last 20 years or so, Starfleet observers have logged the intensity of these storms falling off somewhat. Starfleet Command believes the time is right to attempt another survey mission, and, that's our job. He presses another key on the display and the map shifts, centering this time on Deep Space 3. We won't be alone in this. In 2 weeks' time we'll be expected here at Deep Space 3 to rendezvous with the Nelson and the Auckland, who will be accompanying us into the cluster. I don't know about all of you, but I'm excited. How often do we get to go somewhere truly unknown these days? And to lead the expedition as well. That's a big honor.
Well, I suppose that explains why the refit was hurried along.
Well, I'm sure you and your team will make good use of our new sensor upgrades, Commander.
Do we know if there are any habited planets within the system?
That's for us to find out, really. The subspace storms have prevented us from sending any of our usual probes. We do know that some of the outermost systems have planetary bodies in them for sure, but inhabited? No way to tell till we get there.
Do we have any telemetry data for the contents of the nebula? Anything we should be wary of going into it? I mean, if other ships have been lost previously, it'd be good to know what we're flying into.
Probably not what you'd call telemetry, Commander. Up until now, Starfleet has been limited to good old-fashioned optical astronomy in surveying the cluster. Some basic data. We'll be the first to get a proper look.
So predominantly this is going to be a survey mission. Is that right, sir?
Survey and exploration, yeah. Classic Starfleet stuff.
Maybe rescue? Any of those ships have survived, strangely.
Well, I'd be lying if I said stranger things haven't happened, but I wouldn't pin any hopes on it. It's been a century and a half since Starfleet last sent any ships in there.
I'm excited.
Oh, good to hear it. Well, glad someone here is.
Should be an interesting mission, sir.
You'd better believe it. We'll be going down in history as the first explorers to travel into this region of space. One for the record books.
Ireela looks very thoughtful and begins to mentally run over all of the possible unknown illnesses or pathogens and how to best protect and then assess anything that new that is picked from a medical perspective.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't the first time that Starfleet's put together an exploration mission to anywhere. So, yeah. you're kind of going through. Okay, this is a new place. This is the place. So here's the things to run through. So, yeah. Okay.
Is Lyra sat in earshot of me?
I mean, yeah, you're all just around a conference table, basically.
Right. Okay, so I send a glance over to Lyra saying, "Oh, your first mission as Lieutenant Commander. Looking forward to it."
Oh, gotta get my feet wet at some point.
That's the spirit.
All right, then. Make sure your departments are fully briefed and ready for departure. We'll be underway within the next 24 hours.
Aye, sir.
Aye, sir.
Dismissed. He gives you all a final nod of encouragement and leaves the conference room. So, following the captain's briefing, the next 24 hours is a blur of final preparations for departure. But it isn't long before the ship is ready to leave space dock. As the ship's getting ready to leave then, who is on the bridge? I'm assuming Murphy at Tactical, Ray at the science station. Ireela, though, would you be on the bridge, do you think?
I think the Doctor will stay on the bridge with them just now.
Okay.
It's their first time going out on an expedition on this class of ship. Like, you can tell that Lieutenant Commander Murphy is still feeling a little unsure.
So they're there for a little bit of emotional support as well, then.
Yeah.
And let's say as well that Johnny, you're able to. It's happening when you're not on, not on shift, so you're able to find a room with a window.
Okay, it's 10 forward, of course.
Yeah. You've got your favourite hangout.
If possible, he's invited his new bunkmate down to 10 forward, probably for like a welcome drink and to chat about, well, to get to know him and probably start chatting about Dominion War stuff and find out what he's into.
Okay, so yeah, the two of you get a great view from the 10 forward windows as the rest of the crew on the bridge get as Ensign Sauce takes the ship out of space dock, turns to the captain, says, "Captain, we're clear of Earth orbit, ready for warp on your command." Ireela, you pick up an excited feeling of anticipation from the captain as he leans forward. All right, let's see what's out there. Engage. The USS Tenzing jumps to warp, leaving behind Earth, bound for Deep Space 3, and then on to the unknown depths of the Bermuda Cluster. Alright, that's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday the 30th of September with the next chapter of Frontier, and we sincerely hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, you can get in touch with us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, all of which we are at Pretend With Dice. We'd love for you all to join us on our Discord server, the invite links to which can be found in our Twitter bio and on the contact page of our Podbean site at pretendingwithdice.podbean.com. Also, finally, you can support the podcast if you so wish through Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/pretendingwithdice. For now, that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.